Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and I'm back again to do another album review. And this time we are going to be talking about The Godfather, Mr. John Petrucci. His new album came out today and it is called Terminal Velocity. I just got done listening to the album in depth on a listening party stream. For any of you that haven't checked out my listening party streams, you should. They're a lot of fun. We essentially collectively all stream the album, we listen to the album and talk about it while we are listening to it. So you're getting essentially like a reaction, but also the hope is, if someone huge like Jared Dines was doing listening party streams, you'd have 100,000 people all going off and streaming an artist's music and making them some money, which I think is a great idea. And trust me, they're just so much fun. Anyway, I had so much fun doing that and I had so much to say about the album, I thought I would give you a rundown and let you know what my thoughts are. So, you may be new to the channel, you may have followed me for many different reasons. You might follow me for country music, you might follow me for blues, but I play lots of styles of music and I have a long history in rock and metal music. I grew up playing and loving rock and metal, and Dream Theater were my favourite band for a very, very long time. In fact, I have a Dream Theater tattoo. I'm that much of a fan. So seeing a new album from Petrucci, which has been the best part of 15 years in the making, was just super, super cool. And when the single Terminal Velocity came out a couple of weeks ago, I didn't want to listen to it until the whole album came out. I wanted to listen to the album in one long listen and see what I really thought of it. And I'm glad that I did that. Guys, you have to check this album out. It's legitimately very good. It's not perfect, and I'm going to throw some heavy, heavy criticism at it, but it's a great album. You will have fun with it. So giving you a basic rundown, the opening track, Terminal Velocity, is probably the best song on the album. It's a fun journey. It kind of feels like a sci-fi Steve Morse vibe. Lots of fun. Tons of really cool melodies. You've probably, if you're a Petrucci fan, already heard this because, as I say, it's the single. It's been out for a few weeks. And everybody's been talking about this track. Lots of fun. I don't really think there's much to say other than, the album is named after it and it's probably because it's the best song on the album. Great tune, really enjoyed it. Next up, you have the song Odd Father. Now, this is definitely kind of a Dream Theater vibe. And you can break the songs in this album down to two kind of things. Things that feel very modern Petrucci and things that feel very old Petrucci. Things that feel like he's calling back to where he's from. There's a lot of progressiveness to this album. I don't mean in terms of just, that prog sound, but I mean in terms of John Petrucci's personal progression. There's lots of really interesting chord progressions. There's him playing over chord changes, which is just not something that you really expect from John Petrucci of all people. But Oddfather is very much a kind of Dream Theater tip of the hat thing. And that's cool because, of course, this is a reuniting, if you like, of John Petrucci and Mike Portnoy, Dream Theater's original drummer. Cool song, not crazy on the mix. I felt the rhythm guitars in the verse sections were a little bit low in the mix, but there's a very cool arpeggio section at the end of the tune that is probably worth learning. Very, very cool arpeggio section. Okay, let's get on to Happy Song. This song is garbage. Please don't listen to it. Take it off the album, delete it from Spotify. Oh my God, what were you thinking? I'm being a little bit silly, but this sounds like Bowling for Soup, Blink-182. My wife, her musical taste could be summarized as the American Pie soundtrack, and this sounds like the American Pie soundtrack but with instrumental guitar over the top of it. For me, it just doesn't work. I thought the chorus melody was kind of cool, but again, it just sounded like it could have been, like I say, a Bowling for Soup or Sum 41 song. There was something about it that just didn't ring true. It felt like it was a wink and a nudge type thing, like we were having a little joke, and it wasn't really what I wanted. So I'd like to pretend that I hadn't heard that song because it's by far the worst thing on the album. So next up is the song Gemini. I didn't make too many notes on this song. I felt that the main melody in it felt a bit exercisey in terms of these are the types of things that Petrucci might have been practicing at the time, but there is a ridiculously cool arpeggio section in this song that if you're a guitar player and you want to learn some instrumental shred guitar stuff, very much a highlight on the record, and you should absolutely dig into that one. Like I say, that one and Oddfather, there's some really cool parts that you might want to learn in there. Now let's talk about Out of the Blue. Now, this is a super, super interesting song. I'd actually go as far as saying it's my second favourite song on the album. But when it started, I immediately said, this sounds awful, awful. And the reason I say that is because you don't think of John Petrucci as being a guy that has a traditional clean guitar tone. He's not a clean tone player. And this record was mixed by Andy Sneap. And again, you don't think of Andy Sneap as the kind of guy that mixes those sorts of clean guitars, because this song is like a jazzy blues song, and it's really cool. Like all of the things that John is playing are super cool and appropriate, but the tone was just not there. It sounded like the guitar volume knob was rolled down a bit and the tone was rolled down a little bit on an Ernie Ball Music Man. And you don't want that. If you think of someone like Josh Smith playing this tune, or Carl Verheyen playing this tune, or Larry Carlton, one of those kind of more LA fusiony, bluesy, known for their great clean tone type stuff, I thought that it probably would have worked a little bit better. But compositionally and musically, I really, really enjoy this track. It's a fucking wild one because the song is called Out of the Blue, and it really does come from out of the blue. There is a just massive sense of progression through this song. It changes and evolves so much. You know, he goes from the clean jazzy blues guitar player. There's some bluesy playing in there. I wouldn't necessarily call it blues. You know, John Petrucci isn't Philip Sayce or one of those kind of like modern blues, Kenny Wayne Shepherd's Joe Bonamassa. He's not that sort of a blues player, but it had, John's take on the blues. But it built and built and built, and over the course of the song, it turned into a kind of very Petrucci-esque, shreddy, technique-driven thing. But the important thing is that you could say that and have this impression that I'm saying that like it's a bad thing, but I'm absolutely not. It's so cool how the song started as one thing and just gradually mutated into something completely different. And that was so cool. And for that reason alone, I could even say I enjoyed it, as an experience more than Terminal Velocity. So Out of the Blue, you have to go check that tune out. Great tune. Next up is Glassy-Eyed Zombies. This is, again, classic Dream Theater-esque Petrucci. Lots of John Petrucci trademarks, like the riffs that are in 4/4/7/8 4/4 4/4. He loves that kind of 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. That kind of short bar in the second bar. Cool, but again, not really what I was wanting from this record. Not that it's my place to say. Great playing on it. I just felt that compared to what had just come before and some of the other tunes on this album that we'd listened to up to this point, it felt a little bit kind of old Petrucci, and just not necessarily what I was after. But again, some great playing on there. Next up is The Way Things Fall. So when this track started, and I didn't really know what was happening, and when we were listening to it on the stream, people said this is the track that I'd probably skip, and I felt that way for the first few minutes, but over time it did start to again do the kind of Out of the Blue thing where it mutates into something a little bit cooler. It does progress, it does build up to something. I liked it towards the end, but it took a very long time to get there, so probably not my favourite song on the album. Next up is probably the biggest disappointment on the album, Snake in My Boot, because you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but this song has no references to Toy Story whatsoever other than the title. Not even a little, look, I'm Woody, howdy, howdy, howdy. You could have thrown anything in there, John, and you did not, and I'm thoroughly disappointed by this. This is a really weird piece of music, though, and I say piece of music rather than song because it feels like the sort of thing that you might do in a live guitar solo thing. When you have your spotlight moment and you have a few minutes to play to your audience. It felt like it would have worked just as well unaccompanied as it did with the band. The riff in the intro feels very kind of 80s rock type thing, like that LA hair metal type thing. It's Petrucci, there's good playing on there. I can't really criticise any of the playing, nothing like that. I was just so disappointed by the title, and there wasn't a, no playing You Got a Friend in Me melody, nothing like that. But cool playing. And then finally, Temple of Cicadia. Now this, a great riff. This is a weird one for me because this is very much Dream Theater. This is so Dream Theater. But I loved it. I just loved it. There was something about how Portnoy was playing everything on the drums and really kind of mutating his drum parts to mix up the time feel of things, the kind of metric modulation thing that those guys are kind of known for. Very, very cool. And while it was that old dated sound, it just felt right. It was like that proper nostalgia took me back to being 14, which is super, super cool. So yes, those are each one of the tracks. And I have to say, in terms of like strong melodies, ironically, the strongest melody, the most traditional chorus, if you like, is probably on the song Happy Song. None of these songs really feel like what you would call songs. That's maybe a bit unfair. What I'm saying is it's not about verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You know, it's not traditional song structures. They feel like pieces of music that evolve and mutate over the course of their life. And that, to me, is really fun. That's really progressive, right? You get to listen to these things and go on a journey. When you are at the start of the song, I promise you, you will have no idea where the song is going to end up. And if you're into prog, that's probably what you're into. So yeah, John Petrucci's Terminal Velocity. Please do go and check it out. I'll post a link in the description. Thoroughly enjoyable record. I'm sure that you will probably enjoy it. Right, last of all, I just want to say a massive thank you. There it is, to my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for allowing me to take time, just knocking things over, for taking time out of my day to do live streams like that. It's very much appreciated. If you'd like to check me out on Patreon, you can do so and support the channel for as little as $1. Link is in the description. If that doesn't suit you, you can also check out one of my books. I have lots of books available. They're all on Amazon. And again, links are in the description. It really does kind of impact how much time I can devote to making content like this. So thank you so much for your support, guys. It really does mean a lot. You are awesome people, and I love you all very much. As usual, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking this button down here. I want to say Patreon up here, but for some reason YouTube stopped that working. So thanks, YouTube. And there'll be 2 more videos here and here. I'll make them both Petrucci videos. Go and check the record out. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this album. I'm sure that you probably enjoyed it as much as I did. Much love, and I will see you for another video soon. And goodbye.